Hey out there, Internet. Welcome to Roll. I'm Benj. With me are Dave and Chase. And we're basically putting together a little show, talk about tabletop role playing games. And of course, the most obvious and ever present one is Dungeons and Dragons. They're up to 5th edition. So we're going to talk about that primarily for a while and then probably branch out into some other stuff. I am, I guess, your host for this. And I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since 2nd edition. Played some 3rd, skipped 3.5, played some Pathfinder, played a little bit of 4th, and then decided to go back to 3rd. And now I'm spending a lot of my time in 5th. Chase.
Hi everybody. I started D&D on 3.0, played 3.5 for a very small amount. Believe it or not, actually played a lot of 4th edition, which I know gets some hate, but I'm here to rectify that. And then currently playing 5th edition. It's great. And outside that, play all kinds of tabletop, all kinds of nerdy games, board games, you name it. I am just the younger generation side of this cast.
Dave.
All right. Yeah, I also started playing in 2nd edition. Played some 3 and 3.5. I've never played 4 and currently playing 5e. I've also played Mutants Mastermind, Shadowrun, a couple of other tabletop RPGs. And like Chase, I also play, board games and other fun, nerdy things like that. I'm back to Benj.
Okay, well, seems like you can't spit in a search bar without hitting a D&D podcast. So really the question is, why are we doing this and why are we starting 3 years into 5th edition? It's one of those things. We all poke around the internet. We all enjoy looking at other people's opinions, getting ideas for our own gaming. And the thing I've noticed in all these shows, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, is that everyone pretty much looks like me. It's a late 30s to early 40s guy with various kemptness of beard and usually just one dude talking. And don't get me wrong, a lot of good opinions out there, a lot of good shows. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but it's all kind of one-sided. And so we got together. Chase is currently our game master for 5th edition, and he's here to represent like the late 20s to early 30s demographic. And Dave has been a longtime player with me representing the mid 30s demographic. So, some of those other shows, I would also say you see kids in like the late teens and early 20s who don't have a lot of experience and they're just excited to be there, not really helpful for the masses. And so I'm really pleased with the cast that we've assembled here, the amount of experience that we have as a group and as individuals. I'm really excited that Chase actually played a lot of 4th edition so he can talk about it because pretty much everyone thinks it's awful, including but not limited to myself. And
I'm going to fix it.
He's here to bring the dungeon master's perspective. Dave's here to bring the player's perspective and maybe a little bit of dungeon mastering. And I'm here to do like the world building because I've spent a lot of time lately building my own world to run a game in whenever I feel inspiration. Of course, a lot of other things take up my time, like, I don't know, podcast. But eventually I hope to get through that. So what we wanted to do today is kind of get a quick introduction to who we are and a quick introduction to why we're doing this and a quick introduction to 5th edition and the differences between 3rd and 4th and even 2nd at that point to what we have now. So Chase, DM side, what is the biggest thing that jumps out to you from jumping from 3rd and 4th into 5th?
Okay, so with the exception of 4th edition and it's obviously easing down of the rules, 5th edition is hands down the easy edition out right now. It's just very simple for a new player to pick up. It's very simple for a new DM to pick up. And I'd say within, and this is a good time for D&D standards, but within 3 to 4 hours, you're ready to go. Characters made, everyone has their party, they know what's going on, the D&M has a good idea of what to do, and you're just ready to play. And at the lower levels, you really don't need that many dice. You don't even need that many materials to play. It's just very quick. But what's great about it is it also has a lot of the essence of older editions. So even the vets, like you two fine gentlemen, can enjoy it because there's still that familiarity, and it's just all around got everything you want, one nice package. I'm not saying it's perfect, nowhere near it. There are things I would change, and as a DM, I do alter, but it's got a really good base, and that's why I think it's picked up so much recently. Is it's just so easy for anyone to get into it now. But yeah, that's my 2 to 3 cents.
Sure. Dave, what do you notice?
From the player side of it, I definitely noticed it's easier to get into playing a character because there aren't as many options, and that's not a bad thing because a lot of people think, oh, there's not as many options, I'm not going to make a character of my own. I honestly thought that the first time I saw it. It's actually easier to customize your character because there's less of that paralysis of what do I do. There's not like 40 or 50 skills you have to figure out what they all do and whether they're useful or not. It's a much more condensed skill list because they combined a lot of them. The classes are a lot more easily defined, and you get a lot more as you play through your levels, so you're more inclined to stick with a class as opposed to third editions just taking 3 levels of this class and 4 of that, and that prestige class and that prestige class, and you almost had to in third edition to get the most out of your character. And fifth seems to be a lot better about you can stick with one class and be really good at one thing and have a lot of fun doing it. You don't have to worry quite so much about jumping from class to class to be the best you can be. And I really like that because I don't like having to play in characters as much because I'm not very good at it. The best thing that jumps out at me is that they simplified it a lot, but by simplifying it, they didn't dumb it down because you can simplify things and you can dumb it down, and they didn't dumb it down, which I'm very grateful for.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, there were very few base classes in third edition that you would want to stick through a 20 level career.
Yeah.
I mean, the only ones I can think of off the top of my head are Monk and Rogue.
And that's only because you get things all the way through.
And the polar opposite.
Monks
of
did
fighter.
amazing. Rogues did amazing. Everything else, like Fighter, was basically the class you took to get the feats to take whatever prestige class you wanted.
Yeah, and then you bowed out. 100% agree.
Ranger, you never progressed past 3 levels. I mean, there was no reason to because they didn't get anything anymore.
And 5e, they did away with prestige classes, and instead they have the archetypes that every class gets to choose from once you hit level 1, 2, or 3, depending on the class. And that seems like a much better system because it's less bolt-on and more built into that class. You're still the same class, you're just getting way better at a couple things they do.
And in that way, it's very similar to 4th edition because in 4th edition, you had the 3 tiers of play.
Right.
Well, 11, you got to get a different class and add on to the class you already had. And then at level 21, you did it again. Whereas in 5th edition, and I think it's brilliant. I love it. Your prestige class is kind of built into your base class. So not every fighter is going to be the same. And fighter, you always were able to have a huge diversity of what kind of fighter you were going to play based on whether you wanted to use a sword and a shield or a two-handed weapon or a ranged weapon or an exotic weapon or whatever. But now you've got your champion, which is like your run-of-the-mill fighter. You've got your arcane knight. What is that? What, Eldritch Knight?
Eldritch Knight.
Your Eldritch Knight. And then you've got your War Master, who's like the warlord from 4th edition.
Yeah.
With a maneuver. So just between those, switching around, you've got all kinds of differences that you can have. And you're right, it's simpler, but it's not so simple that it's not fun anymore. There's still plenty of options, and there are really no bad choices, with the exception of 2 that I can think of right off the top of my head. But we can talk about that later.
That one bad choice has been worked on, though, because I know we'll get that later, but they've been working on it. Just so you guys listening know.
For right now, though, we're going to stick with like the base core everything, and then I think in later episodes we'll talk about expansions that come out because in true Wizards of the Coast fashion, like they did with 4th edition, they are going to be cranking out content every few months. And that's exciting and also terrifying because there's a finite amount of space in my wallet.
Yeah, my bookshelf is filled with every book as they come out. It's a real problem.
Yeah. On my end, there in the middle, I really appreciate how they flattened the math and how they've adjusted all the crazy floating modifiers that you saw in 3rd edition and Pathfinder down to advantage and disadvantage. That's a lot easier for everyone, and it's a lot easier to remember. And then beyond that, again, the way they've adjusted the classes. So I feel like this is, I was hesitant to get into 5th edition because I was still really into 3rd edition, but the way they've simplified it down and a couple of other things that they've added. I love the backgrounds. I can't say enough good things about backgrounds for character creation. But we'll talk about that again later because today's the intro episode. But beyond that, just the overall ease of use and ease of play, I think it's really welcoming to both veterans like ourselves and to new players like some of the other people we have at our table.
And young and old, age doesn't really matter anymore either. Anyone can get into it.
That's well because they flatten the math.
Yeah.
We're not starting with a base attack of 26 to try to hit armor class 50.
Stats we'll get into later, ladies and gentlemen.
Anything else do we need to talk about here?
I mean, just on my end, just so everyone knows,
Sure.
we were probably going to be talking about 5th edition a lot, and I, again, think it's great. But one thing I have to say is, for anyone unsure about it, if you've ever thought about playing D, go pick up that book. Go pick up the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster's Manual, or PDF it. And I promise you, within an hour or two, you'll have a pretty firm idea. And within 3 to 4 hours, you'll be calling people, trying to get people to play with you. It's just that easy to get. So if you have any
honestly,
concerns,
they've got
you
a
can
free
do it.
PDF available online that's like the base rules, like a very very simplified. Before the Player's Handbook actually came out, they had some free information online through Wizards of the Coast, and you can get that. And it's really stripped down, but it's enough to let you see if it's for you or not. So that would be my recommendation: is to go get the freebies.
Yeah,
Yep, definitely. Because, like they said, 5e is probably the easiest edition to get into and start playing because it's very simplified and they've made it easy to get in and start going, and you don't have to take a lot of time to figure out all of this crazy math. It's just real simple.
Exactly, and the actual the instructions that are there in the guide kind of walk you through it very well as well. I like that you've got your standard starting equipment, so you could roll for your starting gold and then buy things piecewise, or you could just get the starting equipment, which gets you pretty much everything you need.
Exactly.
And even within there's choices like pick a martial weapon. So you don't have to pick. You don't have to decide, oh, what kind of they're going to make me get a longsword or whatever. No, you can decide I want a great sword, or I want a great club, or an axe, or a rapier, or whatever, which is also pretty slick. But overall, you will see over the course of the show, I'm really into not spending money. So
as compared to me,
who
spends too
don't laugh.
much money.
That's true. You are really into spending money.
I'm somewhere right in the middle,
It's
so
true.
that also works out.
So, Chase is saying run out and get the Player's Handbook and try it out. I'm saying go get the free PDF. You're listening to us on the internet. You have the internet. You found us on the internet, so you're apparently very good at interneting. Find the free PDF and try those out. Beyond that, I think that's all we're going to do for this episode. Check us out every Monday. We're barring events that happen to people in their real lives. Every Monday we plan to upload a new episode. You're all, like I said, very good at the internet because you found us. So do all those things you normally do on the internet, the like and the subscribe, but also do us the favor of telling your friends. We are really doing this because we want to, but it's kind of pointless for us to just talk to each other and put a conversation on the internet. We'd like some feedback from you. We'd like to have more people listening to us. We'd really like to build a community here. And so, Dave, do you want to give them all the websites?
Yeah, if you would, of course, if you're listening to this, you're on our YouTube channel. You can also catch us on rolltorollblog.wordpress.com. We got a basic site up right now. We're going to post all of our videos up there as well. I'll probably post some different things throughout the week as we come up with other ideas to do things, because all of our brains are pretty much constantly working on ideas for D&D and other games. So you can catch us on those things. And like Ben said, we plan on uploading every Monday at least a new video or a podcast.
All right. And with that being said, I'm Benj.
I'm Chase.
I'm Dave.
Thanks for listening. And we'll catch you next week on Roll to Roll.